Bonjour à tous, welcome back everyone, this is Mac Plays on Mac and we are now entering episode 20 of Mac Island. It's been a tough ride. The last episode of Mac Island was very chaotic. We were not able to open the file. I honestly felt that this was the end of Mac Island. And then Economy 2.0 came out and I was very excited for it, and unfortunately still I was not able to open my map anymore. My save was gone. I finally figured out what was the mod that was causing me trouble, infinite demand. And then when I removed it, I was able to load into an older save, and so I had to rebuild a lot of things, but now here we are, Mac Island 2.0. Now the question is, are we gonna be able to survive Economy 2.0 update? We'll see. Let's jump back into it. So here we are, into Economy 2.0, about a month after I actually launched it for the first time. So a lot of things happened already and I did not record it because so many times the game was crashing over and over, and then it was always resetting and I was not able to reopen my saved. So it was a tough road, but now here we are. So as you can see, we had a death wave, but very funny, the death wave is not due to just the 2.0 update. It was actually here before that, and that's actually the reason why when my population went from about 40,000 to 33,000 before the economy update, and then for whatever reason I was not able to make my demand go back up, and that's why I came up with the mode infinity demand, and that's actually what crashed the build. But now we know that, so I decided to go without it, and I actually figured out what was the main issue. And this was due to my lack of crematoriums. So that's why everybody was just dying and nobody was getting picked up, and it was just making a chaos into our city. So because of that, I created some crematoriums, about 2 of them, and then I added a lot of extra hangar. So we had about 70 hearses that can go all over town, and that's why actually we're going to be able to go through that death wave and picking up all of the people very quickly. Now that I was finally able to open my saves, I decided to go with that elevated tram. So we rebuilt it all the way, and now being my 4th time, it was very easy, very quick. I knew exactly what I was looking for, what I was doing. All of the troubleshooting has been done before. So now here you can see I actually went for the smaller kind of tram, and I think that's a mistake. I think I should go with at least a normal one or a 4th one, because this is a main axle and one of our busy line, and having 9 tram set, I don't know if that's the best way to go. I was very pleased to see that actually my pedestrian connection this time are working. In the previous episode when I was trying to do this, they were actually not connecting to the tram road, which was very odd, because when I was doing this all vanilla, everything worked perfectly. But here I was very pleased to see, so that was working. Now we're going to be able to finally use all of this, and it's going to help me to remove the pedestrian from the main road and make them go to the higher level. So having them on different height make some more safety for the pedestrian, and also the car are able to move faster and not wait because of pedestrian are crossing crosswalks. So my goal is to eliminate as much as I can this crosswalk, and also the pedestrian will be already on the tram level and will be much easier to access transportation. As my build is not very stable and I ran into issue a few times while using Move It, I decided to use Move It only in extreme cases, and as you can see, none of this is perfect. Right now I'm more trying to see if everything is working, if everything is stable, and in the future I will likely change it, or I would love to have elevators or different kind of assets that would help to make all of this look more realistic. Having that tram line elevated, it allows me to make more frequent stops for the tram, also to get the tram not dependent on the road surface traffic, which is pretty bad sometimes, and having the pedestrian out of the road level, but also I'm using a lot of pedestrian walkways to make sure that there is connection everywhere still. Now I'm doing a little first-person tram view. Unfortunately, the rails for whatever reason are not showing up, but I can guarantee you that they are here, and usually they actually do show up. Here I'm removing all of the pillars that are kind of on the path of the road, and they are not needed anyway. I'm very pleased to see that the population finally started to grow again. We are now at plus 2000 and counting. Because of that spurs in demand, we can now finally add more residence zoning. So the death wave seems to be gone right now. It's been about 8 weeks, 6 weeks, and I can finally turn down some of my crematorium because they are not all needed anymore. Also, because of the update, my high school is now very busy. Unfortunately, my map is not big enough to have a new high school, so I'm using some of the asset with that small high school and build it quite a few one, but I can guarantee you that that will not be big enough. So I'm gonna have to find a different way to satisfy the demand. Parking is becoming a big issue in my city, and I don't have that much room. The parking lot I have right now I'm not 100% satisfied with, so I decided to use that big giant tower parking lot. It's very big, it doesn't have as much parking as I wish, but I think it's a nice addition to the skyline. Now let's take a look at more building to add to our skyline. Let's try to find something unique and where would it fit best. So right now this building I think should be the right size. I'm just trying to find a good area, and this seems pretty good right next to the main axle, and as tall as this but not too concentrated is fine. This on the other side will be too big for this area, so let's try to find something else. And after looking and looking, I think we're gonna leave this place like this. I do like this skyline, how it's kind of look like a V. Now let's go on to densification of the single houses into something more city-like. So that's why you're gonna see some small apartments, some little mixed use, and also some bigger towers as well. I'm a little bit disappointed that the asset importer didn't come with the update, but still we do have some way to add some assets. It's not just as stable, and unfortunately there is not as many assets in the cities that I would like. I'm starting to get bored with the buildings and I cannot find all of the ones that I need right there. But here, this one, although a bit big, a bit wide, I think suit very well. Now it's time to fill all of these places with park and parking lots. Also, something I'm not very happy about is to make this work, I had to actually deactivate my beach assets. So now I'm left with this weird boxes, gray boxes. I'm gonna keep them like this until I'm sure that they're not gonna be updated. The parking that come with the game are very good. They are just a tiny bit too big, and also their footprint doesn't really deserve how many parking spots they came with. Meaning, like, I wish that a giant parking lot that go underground will come with much more parking space, or else to be able to upgrade it to at least twice the amount of parking space, because this is not enough for the amount of surface space it's actually taking. For here, we're actually gonna go with some custom parking lot. I'm gonna have like all around of the street some mixed use row housing, and then we're gonna have a parking lane in the center of it, more for residential use, of course. It's interesting to see how every crane appears right here over just a couple one here, and it makes me think that actually the only one we can see here are like this because there will be a collision with the other cranes, and that's why. But technically all of them should have a crane. That's my idea. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it makes me feel like, seeing that there is only two, but when we go into that kind of modded view you can see all of them. Now, being a parking lot, let's make sure that we can see some road wear and tear just to make it less clean looking. And with the success of that first elevated tram line, I decided to construct a second one. As you could have seen on the beginning, I was debating either having it on one side of the road, the sidewalk, or the other sidewalk, but I decided to go center because it would be easier to access for pedestrians from both sides of the street, because I'm also using that elevated tram for a pedestrian walkway so they don't have to cross on the very busy road. Now here I needed to use Move It, and I was very appreciative to all of these new capacities of Move It, but unfortunately I'm still very worried when I use it because I still had a couple crashes. For this, I decided to go a different way. I first built all of the stops, and then I reassigned all of the stops from the old line to the new line, and then I'm gonna remove the tram road from the bottom road, and the tram will automatically use the new elevated track. I was not very sure that was gonna work, but I was very pleased that it actually did work and I didn't need to create a whole new line and having a lot of bugs. So I was very happy about this. My least favorite part about building an elevated track is the pedestrian connection. It takes so much time, it's very hard. So here I decided to try a different way. I was gonna try to get them built as these stairs assets, but for whatever reason, when I do that, everything goes blue and yeah, not working very much. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Please, if somebody has an idea, I'll be very happy to hear about it. But right now, I'm just gonna go again with these paths, and it doesn't really work the best. They don't look amazing. It's very tedious work, but that's the only way I can find right now. And now with all of the stops connected to the road via pedestrian walkway, everything is working perfectly as you can see. I just need to remove all of the pedestrian crosswalk down levels so all of the traffic can go smooth again. And by the same way, I'm adding a couple more connection as I see that some might be missing. It was so frustrating because every time the game was crashing in the past, I had to reset all of the different settings, graphic settings, getting rid of the tutorials, enabling the autosaves, removing the night-day cycle, and many more things. Alright, and now let's take a look at the damage done by the Economy 2.0 update. So as you can see, at the beginning we were at -6 per month. Now we are at -5, and I'm able to change the taxes so we can go all the way to -4. Now I'm gonna adjust all of these kind of settings over there to make them suit what I think should work the best. And at the end, I also find out that I actually forgot to deactivate my using outside sources services, and then that's how I'm gonna balance my whole shit, because I'm still at minus 4 when I do all of this. As you can see, minus 3.7. And then when I'm going to be able to deactivate this, I'm going to be at plus 3. So definitely take a look at this service trade, because this is what can get you the most of money. And I was very lucky. Unlike a lot of people, my tile upkick was not that big because I was concentrated onto that island and just around it, so I don't have that many tiles to play with. So let's go onto the city policies and get rid of that city services policy. And now we are plus 3 million, just like this. Also, in that episode, our population went from 33,000 to 43,000. So that's also an addition of about 10,000 people. So everything is great. We can now remove all of this or deactivate all of this crematorium to even save more money. But this is it, about to be the end of this episode and also this series. I'm thinking maybe one more construction episode, because I kind of have something I want to add to the city. And then the last episode to be like remembering how did we get there. Let's see, like where did we started at and what did we ended up on. But before we get there, let's take a look at everything we achieved today in this Economy 2.0 Mac Island 2.0 build. Encore merci à tous. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Mac Island, episode 20. Welcome back to the city. It's been a wild ride and it was very hard to get this city back to work. But in the meantime, I still have one last thing to do. Let's take a look at it next week. Bye bye, à bientôt, merci.